Hi, welcome to this episode. And today's topic is money mindset. So we're going to talk about that in business. Actually, we'll even talk about it in life, and sponsored by our Dale Carnegie course. 17th, 18th, and 19th of November is the last in-person program that we will be running here in Brisbane. You are welcome to join us. Look, I remember graduating off the Dale Carnegie course in 1989. Yes, I know I look young on the video, but 1989, I went through the Dale Carnegie program and was transformational. Why? All of a sudden, I realized that I could create my own reality, that my choices could make all the difference. I remember driving back home to my little town, Wairau military camp, and there was actually snow hitting my windscreen. I saw the lights of the local pub, which was the entertainment center of the world where I lived. And I thought, you know what? I might have outgrown this fish tank. And the rest is history. I've loved every moment that I've been involved with Dale Carnegie as a trainer, as a professional salesperson, as an area manager, and as a franchisee with multiple franchises. So, hey, that's the benefit of the Dale Carnegie program, which leads me into my next subject, which is mindset and financial mindset. So I gave you that story for a couple of reasons. I was in a very small pond. So actually 90 civilians lived where I lived. That's not a lot of civilians. And the rest was a military camp, mostly male for obvious reasons. And but it was a brilliant place to live. It was fantastic to live in my little town. We never locked any doors. The house was always open. And because we had that security too of being in a camp, a military camp particularly, where people carried M16s for fun, we always felt incredibly safe. And but what I realized, and you don't really realize this until you start moving out into bigger towns, that my small little fish tank also had consequences. And one of the consequences is, I remember I was driving to Palmerston North, and I was really, really afraid because I'd never gone through a traffic light. I'm actually serious. So I parked my car outside the city, and I walked past the traffic light. This is crazy. I walked past the traffic light and thought, okay, let's watch the traffic. Because when I was younger, you basically knew the copper, and you know, say, hey, I've got to get my license and take me for a little bit of a drive. And it was pretty easy, and so I went. My first thing outside my comfort zone was actually driving through these traffic lights. And obviously, over a period of 12 weeks, which is how long the Dale Carnegie course was in those days, I learned to navigate what I thought was a pretty frightening experience that was going through the city. It's not a city, by the way. It's only about 80,000 people, but it was a city to me. Now, here's my point. So does that have an impact on how you think about money? Well, yes, it did. My father was a solo parent. He brought up 4 boys on his own without any social welfare help. We did not have a lot of money. I actually used to brag to my friends until they was 12, 13-year-old. I never owned any new shoes. In fact, we used to wear bare feet and see who was the most staunch. Now, staunch is a Kiwi word for hard man. And if you could wear bare feet in the snow, you're a hard man. And so all this was great, and it certainly helped me to be a lot stronger and work with people and teams and so on, because we're a sporting family. The downside, though, is I had a lot of poverty thinking. And so I actually had to change that. By the way, poverty is not a financial, how much money you got in your bank. It is a mental attitude to money. And I didn't realize that I had a mental attitude of scarcity. And it was only as I went through the Dale Carnegie program where I started to see affluent people coming on the course, learning things, and they would share some of their secrets of wealth and business. And as I moved through being a trainer and training lots of different people, and then setting up my own business, I started to learn very quickly how important is cash flow. By the way, cash flow is king. And it literally is. Not cash is king, cash flow. When the flow stops, you've got a problem. And so how I learned to handle my limiting beliefs around money is I started to set myself challenges. And there was a period of time where I just couldn't get over $50,000 in earnings. Now, this is a long time ago where 50,000 would be like, I guess, 150,000 in today's terms. So it was a pretty fair amount of money, but I just couldn't get to it. I was hitting the ceiling all the time. And actually someone pulled me aside and said, well, what is the issue? And, sometimes you need a coach. You need an outsider who knows you, who cares about you, saying, hey, what's the real issue? And I actually did a deep dive. And part of my deep dive was I never saw any money when I was a kid. And, people would loan money to each other in small portions. And they would always talk about being poor. Now, obviously, that hit my subconscious. And even though I'd started to have some success, 50,000 was like my $10 or my $100. That's a lot of money. And it was only until I saw it that I could recognize it. It's actually in the seeing that can make a big difference. Next, though, is the doing. So I looked at my schedule and I looked at my diary. And for the very first time, I looked at my diary from a strategic point of view. And my strategic point of view is, how much money am I making? Okay, how could I increase my revenue? What type of client would I actually have to talk to create that revenue? And what would be the skill sets that I require to be able to do that? And it was funny because all of a sudden the answer was right in front of me. And then I did a big leap, managed to move into 100, 200 and so on. And that was all great. It was all really good. But it's interesting. It doesn't matter whether it's $1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million. At some stage, we actually hit the ceiling. We don't know what it is. There's a book called The Upper Level, and I think that's exactly what it is. It's an upper level of revenue. And you get in your comfort zone. And it's funny, you tend to do all the work, and even if you have a boomer of a year, you somehow sabotage your behavior just to hit that ceiling. So again, how do you change that? First of all, you got to see it. Once you see it, then 50 to 60%, you've got a chance of shifting it. And then you've got to break the habits and behaviors. And, right now our company's in a growth stage. I've got some very ambitious goals for this particular franchise that I'm running at the moment. I've got several other franchises that aren't actually performing, and I need them to perform. So I've got to break it down. Where's my trade of time? Who's my market? How do I make them? How do I make those people that I'm interested attracted to us, so that I save time? Because every time I'm prospecting, I know that that's actually a costly in the amount of time. So I want to be in the zone. So my thinking and the way I work is, how do I create that zone? I've also had the good privilege of working with a lot of MDs of organizations, family, and obviously public companies. I really do like family companies because they don't FTO, they don't fail to implement. So they guard their money. It's really precious to them, and they really want to get a trade of that time and effort. I remember sitting down with a senior person and them looking me in the eye and go, look, this is a family business. I'm a third generation CEO. And I want to put something to you, Will. And I said, what? And he goes, look, most people have a lot of challenges around making money. I have a challenge of staying motivated because I already make too much money. And I looked at him like he was a space alien because I'd never met anyone like that. And anyway, he told me the figure that he was earning passively without moving a finger. And it was significant. And I said, and he said to me, I'm not motivated. I don't actually have to do anything to create that extra wealth. I just don't have to. The business is so good that I know that it's going to generate this particular figure, and I can take it without moving a finger. And I said, well, that's really good that you can stand on the shoulders of your forefathers or mothers and your lineage and have that view of the world. So with great accountability and responsibility, you have to stand on the shoulders and say, what else can I create? And so this particular person became incredibly motivated, incredibly hardworking, because he found something that was greater than him. We worked together for a long period of time to find that thing, but once he found it, it wasn't about the money. And I always think to myself, why do Bill Gates and so the Warren Buffett and all those sort of people, Bezos, why do they carry on working? Surely they've got enough money. What becomes what really happens is it doesn't become about the money anymore. It becomes about purpose motive. And so if you want to crack through that upper level, you've got to move in the purpose motive. What's the purpose? What's the trade? What's my gift? What can I give? How can I influence? How can I move? How can I make it better? And then what happens is the money comes naturally. So it is about standing back and thinking and looking at the situation and going, hey, why am I doing what I'm doing? How can I do it better? There's also another part of strategy too, and that is, this is not working anymore. It is going to die, and I'm going to die with it if I don't let it go. And so, and some people are really, really, really good at making those decisions, where they know the vehicle that they used to love and endeared to is no longer going to create that prosperity. Hey, one of the things that I wish I'd done before COVID, I'm sure everybody else does too, is have more than one revenue channel. And so I've spoken about a couple of things: poverty thinking, lifting the lid, doing the analysis, pushing it past, finding purpose motive. By the way, purpose motive works for people who are aspiring. Purpose motive works for people who are already arrived. And the next thing is to decide what is your gifting. When you know what your gifting is, no matter what you're doing, you're trading at a high level. I was talking to one of my customers on the podcast just recently, and that is making sure that you're trading well, trading commercially. So you might have a real passion for something, but there's got to be a commercial return. And if you're not growing, you're slowing. And money's not everything, but it's right up there with oxygen. And the other thing too is money allows you to buy talent, keep talent, develop talent. And so that's why you should always be looking to grow that part of your financial tree. Is it easy? Nah, probably not. Is it worth it? Yeah. Money might change, but that's the other thing too, my subconscious. Money might make me greedy. Money might make me selfish. Actually, money doesn't do anything. It literally does nothing. It is neutral. It's what we do with it, with our intention. That's who we are. And the other thing too, if you say things to yourself over and over, there's never enough, never enough, never enough, you're going to get exactly that, never enough. What about this? I want more money, I want more money, I want more money. You're going to get a lot of wanting. So language is also something that I've observed for those who do have a lot of money and use that money within their business. How they use their language is incredibly valuable. Hey, I hope that's been useful today. So our topic has been around, mindset around money. And I know there's a lot of successful entrepreneurs listening to this particular podcast who've also probably gone through their upper level limit. The Dale Carnegie course works with your DNA. It works with how you can, communicate, how you can actually activate some of those things that intrinsically are you. And obviously, we've got to think strategically. How can we monetize? How we can get the most out of our talent, our trade of life, our trade of time. I'm William Farmer. It's been great working with you. Remember, business, the art of winning. Winning means prosperity in one way or another. You can measure it with money or not. It's up to you. Thanks for joining us on this podcast. See you next time.